November 17th, 2022. It is 11 a.m. and we are here for our special meeting of the County Board of Canvassers, and we're here to canvass our November 8th general election pursuant to Idaho Code 34-1205. So in attendance are Commissioners Brooks, Duncan, and Filios. Are there any changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead with our one item, and that's the canvass of the November 8th election. And Clerk Brannon, your last canvass.
Yes, indeed. And with that, I'm going to be reasonably quiet today, and I'm going to let Asa Gray kick this off.
Fantastic.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for scheduling this meeting and getting this, that way we can get this done in time for our statutory deadline tomorrow. So just a few things I want to go over. Obviously, this is our November 8th general election canvass. I do want to start out by just talking about our general turnout that we had for our November 8th election. We had 63,231 votes cast in this election, which when we calculate with the election day registrations that we had, comes out to a turnout average of 58.9%, which is pretty much online for our midterm elections. It's, I believe, pretty comparable to 2018. Obviously, it is lower than our presidential in 2020. So with that, a few other things to note. Of course, we did our logic and accuracy test that we do before every election. We did that. This time we did it the week before rather than the day before to allow for staff time with handing out our supplies to our poll workers and opening absentee ballots. We did that on November 3rd, and as always, our test deck was in complete agreement with how we marked it with what the tabulators read, both on the 3rd when we did our public test and when we retested on election day prior to running any ballots, and on the next day when we finished tallying all the ballots and tested a final time. We did have a large absentee turnout compared to past midterms. We had 16,412 absentee ballots run through the tabulator, and we also had 5,311 voters utilizing our early voting option at our office in person for the 2 weeks prior to the election. We did have 2 more absentee ballots that were received in our office. However, one voter put their August election ballot that they had never turned in their November envelope and sent it back. And another voter copied their ballot and sent the copy instead of their actual ballot. I can't explain the logic behind either of those, but they did occur. And of course, because we separate the envelopes from the ballots, we don't know who that was that did those specific things.
Never mind.
We did also identify 2 balloting errors on the absentees that occurred at one of our 5 duplication boards when we were duplicating ballots, so we have those noted in here as well. In regards to election day ballots, we always match our ballots cast by our check-ins with our polling places through our e-poll books, and while we had some small discrepancies, which I'll mention here in a moment, nothing, of course, affected the outcome of any races on the ballot, and they were actually very minor discrepancies, which was pleasing to us. Of course, we always seek for 0, but as close to it as we can get is always something we are happy to see. I will go over write-ins as well here in a moment, because we did have 3 write-in candidates for this election. So in regards to the poll worker performance, we had 41,508 election day ballots cast. 99.9% of those had no ballot issuance errors. And it is important for me to note that 10 of our precincts that 10 of our precincts included the Hayden ballot question on their ballot. I will point out my error in typing there. 7 of those had 2 ballots. 3 of them just had the Hayden ballot because they were singular. They were all encompassed in the city limits of Hayden. So we did have 7 precincts with 2 ballot styles and 10 that had that Hayden ballot question. And then we did, as you can see on the list here, have a few precincts that had some balloting errors on election day. We had 8 precincts there that had one more ballot cast than voters checked in using the e-poll book. One of those precincts, it was a blank ballot. So the best thing we can deduce from that is in the handing out of ballots throughout the day, there were 2 that stuck together at some point.
Oh, okay.
And in that one precinct, the voter obviously did not mark anything on it because it was blank. We did have another precinct that, upon our direction, they had checked in a voter and registered her at the wrong precinct in the location. There were 2 in that building. Upon our direction, she did get the correct ballot, so the ballot itself was correct. It just does not match the check-in between precincts 404 and 406. We had 2 precincts where 1 fewer ballot was cast than voters checked in. The best thing that we can reason from that is that someone left the building without casting their ballot. We don't know why. Again, on that scenario, especially if someone stood in any type of line, I don't know why they would choose to leave without casting it, but that is the best thing that we can posit based on that, because we did have 1 more check-in than ballots cast. We did have 1 location that was also a dual precinct where the voter went to the wrong side of the room to get their ballot. So they did get a precinct 516 ballot instead of 515. I will note that in these precincts, because we don't put different legislative district precincts in the same location, everything on the ballot was the same in those precincts. It just was the wrong precinct numbered ballot. And then we had 1 precinct that did have, it looks like they had 3 times that ballot stuck together throughout the day. So we will be addressing that with that judge to make sure that that doesn't occur in the future. So those were all the balloting errors that we had on election day at the polls. Again, 99.9% accuracy rating, 41,508 ballots handed out. And then we had 4,246 voter registrations during early voting or election day, which are all considered election day registration for the purpose of our canvass and abstract by state guidance and law. 93.9% of those had 0 voter registration errors, and the errors that were made were minor things like someone forgetting to mark the box that they didn't have legal disqualifications, someone forgetting to mark their gender. We do get occasionally someone forgetting to sign something. Of course, we correspond with those voters to make sure we can get those cards complete. And again, none of any of these errors affected the outcome of any results for anything on the ballot. A few unusual factors we did come across in this election. We received over 1,000 of our absentee ballots back on election day, and because of the volume received, and most of those were dropped off, I will point out. Only a small portion of that was in the mail. A good chunk of that was dropped off directly in our drop box at our office. And between that and the phones ringing off the hook and just the normal craziness of election day, it was a delay before we were able to receive those and open those, which did also contribute to our delay in reporting the absentee results until later, because we had to open all those before we could pull that data from the tabulator. And then also the large amount of hesitation marks and crossouts, where one voter would mark one candidate, cross it out, and then mark the other one rather than getting a new ballot, did lead to us having to duplicate over 1,100 ballots of all ballot styles, and 60% of those duplications, I believe about almost 700 of those ballots, were election day ballots. So they're the latest ones we get to, so they delay the final results process the longest. All of that led to us being able to not report our final unofficial results until about 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 9th. We also did have to hand tally the over 13,000 write-in votes that were cast for governor, secretary of state, or county assessor, which were the 3 offices on the ballot with write-in lines that people could, and a filed write-in candidate. We did those, some on election night into the following morning, but then we also continued that process Thursday, and of course Friday being Veterans Day, we came back Monday and finalized that. And you have a large printout of the write-in tally along with the write-in results total. So we do have, in Idaho, voters or candidates do have to file paperwork to be a legitimate recognized write-in candidate. Anybody else that is written in is considered an unassigned write-in because they were not a valid candidate. So of the votes cast as write-ins for county assessor's office, of which we had, let me grab my assessor page so I can give you the exact number here. We did have 12,045 votes cast for Robert Scott as a write-in for assessor. And we also had an unassigned count in that race that was, get here. Yes, it was, oh, it's on 842. Sorry, I don't have that number. in front of me.
6930?
Nope, that's
842.
842, yes,
That's
thank
the
you.
assessor.
Yes, 842 unassigned write-ins for the assessor. Sorry, I'm not reading the right spot, so thank you, Jennifer. Yes, we had 842 unassigned write-in votes for that office. And then we had the Secretary of State's race. We had a statewide candidate, Garth Gaylord, that received 231 valid votes. And the unassigned write-in total for that was, I have that one easier because I don't have that one.
It's
I
on
have
the
that one in
sheet.
front of me.
It's broken out by election day
Here.
after.
I mean, I've got this same sheet here, but I'm trying to read it. Sorry, I have my totals for everything. but-
175.
Yep, that is right, 175. And then we also had governor's write-in candidate Lisa Marie, who received 6 valid write-in votes. And the remainder of the write-ins were unassigned, which I believe is 126. So we had quite a few unassigned write-ins, as you can see, in each of the races. And then, of course, none of these write-in candidates received enough votes to be the leading candidate in the race, or the unofficial victor until it's canvassed today. But we did still have to hand tally all of these write-in ballots. So it was a good exercise in what a hand tally process looks like. And this was just for one race, and it took quite some time we had multiple write-in boards. We had 2 of them going for a good portion of the time. At points, we just had the one, but it did take quite some time to do the write-in. So it allows us to, look at our processes and see how we can, better enhance those for future times should we face this kind of write-in scenario. And with that, I don't think I have much else to add on that.
I will.
Perfect.
Thank you, Asa. What I would like to point out, commissioners, and Bill, I'm sorry you can't see them, but we have got our whole election team with us today. We've got from left to right, we've got Angela, we got Linda, we got Christy, and Asa. That is our elections team. And we do hire temps. We have had Gloria and Randy, Barb. They have been here for a while. But these folks back here, they just do an amazing job for the county and for the citizens of this county. And they should be applauded and applauded again and then stand up and applaud. That's what I think about these folks. Now, some other comments, random comments from the clerk. We had 63,231 votes cast in this election. When I became clerk, we had under 70,000 registered voters. The gentleman or lady, because we are unsure, who attempted to copy a ballot. There is no way that ballot could have been read. For all the conspiracy theorists, I'll put this one out there. It would not have been the right paperweight. It would not have the proper identification mark. And quite honestly, it's against the law. But we couldn't very well check that. So I want to talk about the people who did the crossouts. I think, could be, maybe it's a way because we don't like machines. We're just gonna mark our ballots stupid. We could put our initials, ADF, and then date it, instead of go get a new ballot as you're instructed. That did nothing but delay, delay, delay. And hesitation marks are one thing, but when a voter makes a clear X, say they wanted to vote for a commissioner and they circled the wrong one and then they put a real X through it, our machine doesn't know how to read it. Every one of those ballots came to me, and instead of counting that as a vote, an overvote, I sent that to the Duke board so the vote could properly be tallied. That is part of the delay, and if you just don't like tabulators, well, tough. Bottom line is, we did a great job here, and I am going to say, you want accuracy or you want speed? I've said it over and over again, and we're not giving up the first for the second. Thank you. That's the comments I have. Any questions for Mr. Gray, myself, or the brains of the outfit, the three ladies back here in the back?
All right, Bill, any questions?
Well, I'd like to make a comment, or first question. How many elections have you done, Jim, during your tenure?
Oh, gosh, I've lost count. I really have. But let's just say more than one and less than a million.
Okay. Well, I appreciate so much because I've watched what happens over there and how you prepare and how seriously the people you've named take the process.
Yes.
And that's really what we all count on in our, I don't want to get sappy, but in our democracy, this is what ensures that the votes are accurate and complete and we get good results. So thank you, Jim, from the bottom of my heart and all the people there. Thank you very much.
Well, and thank you, Bill, for saying that.
Chris?
Yeah, and I have to second what Bill said. I think, they say our job, this job, is thankless, and to some degree, so is yours. And I just want to say that I again, second what Bill said, and truly want to thank you. And the question that I have, did you get any pressure for hand counts as opposed to the machine?
Doesn't matter. I've dealt with pressure before. Of course I hear that. But if people think a hand count is more accurate, they don't understand that human error is more likely to happen than a tabulator error.
Yes.
Especially at the end of a 36-hour day.
And that's my understanding as well. So once again, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing about that, Chris, just a corollary, when we hear about, well, countries do it in one day, they don't have bond elections, they don't have commissioner races, they don't have county
Absolutely.
governor races. You gotta, if you want to do that, you're going to have to repeal election consolidation. And when you do that, it's going to cost money.
And we have an election once a month.
Yeah.
You
In
will.
perpetuity, for
Yeah.
all the 200
Correct.
seats we have countywide, so, all
Correct.
right.
So thank you again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Seriously.
So, question on the write-ins, have we ever had 3 write-ins in one race before, or one ballot before?
I will say in our primary election this year, we actually had I think we had 2 or 3. We had 2 for governor specifically in the primary. I don't think that we've seen one in a while to this level of volume for write-ins cast, but we have had this many candidates before, yes.
Okay, good. Well, I do want to thank your team and you very much, and I appreciate it because I've just got a lot of good feedback on how, helpful and kind that you are, and I'm really proud of your team and what you guys did for this election, and it was a lot. It was a lot, so.
All right. Enough with the sappiness. Let's get this over with.
Okay.
I will be putting this one in my rear view mirror.
Yes, absolutely. So all I need is a motion to accept the canvas or approve the canvas.
I move that we approve the canvass of the November 8th, 2022 general election pursuant to Idaho Code 34-1205.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Filios?
Aye.
Bill Brooks?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. All right. Your job is over, Jim, as far as elections go.
Last one, Jim, huh?
Yeah. All right, public comment? You have,
We did receive one online. The person commented on Commissioner Brooks' comment. And it was Tunnel Lord 1337 is the username, and they said, just to clarify, it was Article 4, Section 4 says each state is a republic.
Each state is.
Put that off for me, because I didn't get much of that.
yeah,
Perfect.
great. All right, thank you, folks, and it is 11:21, meeting adjourned. Yes. Well, can you use this?